Have you noticed how silver prices have been moving lately? The charts don't lie. We're seeing a pattern that's eerily similar to what happened back in 2011, right before silver made that explosive move to nearly $50 an ounce. But here's what most people don't understand. While everyone's focused on the price, something far more concerning is happening in the physical market. I've spent the last 17 years analyzing precious metals markets, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that we're entering uncharted territory. The disconnect between paper silver and physical silver has never been this extreme. And it's precisely during times like these that predators come out of the woodwork. Let me take you back to 2008 for a moment. When the financial system was on the brink of collapse, silver demand skyrocketed. People were desperate to protect their wealth. And what happened? A wave of counterfeit silver flooded the market. Sophisticated operations in China and Eastern Europe were producing fake silver eagles and Canadian maple leafs that could fool even experienced dealers without specialized equipment. Fast forward to today, and the technology to create these counterfeits has advanced exponentially. I recently spoke with a former Secret Service agent who specialized in counterfeit currency and precious metals. What he told me was shocking. The latest generation of fake silver coins and bars can pass basic acid tests, have the correct dimensions, and even contain enough actual silver to fool XRF guns at certain settings. This brings me to the first place you should absolutely avoid buying silver from. Online marketplaces like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, and eBay from unverified sellers. In the last 6 months alone, there's been a 340% increase in counterfeit silver reports from these platforms. The scammers have become incredibly sophisticated. Let me tell you about Robert from Arizona. He thought he'd found an amazing deal on Facebook Marketplace. Silver eagles at just $2 over spot price, when most dealers were charging $8–10 premiums. The seller had great reviews and showed pictures of the coins with dates and timestamps. Robert purchased 100 ounces, and when the package arrived, everything looked perfect. The coins had the right weight, right dimensions, and even passed his basic acid test. It wasn't until 6 months later, when he tried to sell some of his collection to a local dealer, that he discovered every single coin was fake. They were silver-plated copper cores with tungsten added to match the correct weight. His $3,200 investment was worth less than $50 in melt value. And because he'd done a person-to-person transaction, he had absolutely no recourse. The second place you need to avoid immediately is any dealer offering special or exclusive silver products with enormous premiums. I'm talking about those companies advertising heavily on conservative radio and TV shows. You know the ones. They sell Trump coins, or Freedom Silver, or Patriots Bullion, at 200 to 300% over the actual silver value. Here's what they don't tell you. These are often just generic silver rounds that have been repackaged with political or patriotic themes. The actual silver content is exactly the same as any other 1-ounce round, but they're charging you 3 times the price. It's predatory marketing aimed at people who are rightfully concerned about the economy, but don't have enough experience in precious metals to recognize the markup. I recently analyzed an offering from one of these companies. They were selling a limited edition 5-ounce silver set for $995. The actual silver content at current prices was worth approximately $175. That's a 468% markup. And their marketing materials were filled with urgent language about last chance and selling out fast to create artificial scarcity. The third place you need to stop buying silver from immediately is any company offering silver storage programs without allocated, segregated storage and third-party auditing. This is perhaps the most dangerous scam in the industry right now, and it's targeting people with significant savings. These companies will convince you to purchase silver that they'll supposedly store in their secure vaults on your behalf. They'll send you certificates of ownership and periodic statements showing your holdings. The problem? In many cases, that silver doesn't actually exist, or they're severely overselling the same silver to multiple customers. Morgan Stanley was caught doing exactly this back in 2007. They paid a $4.4 million settlement after being caught charging customers storage fees for precious metals that didn't actually exist. And just last year, a company called Northwest Territorial Mint was involved in a $25 million precious metals fraud that operated in exactly this way. If you're going to use storage programs, you need 3 non-negotiable elements. Allocated storage, meaning specific bars with serial numbers assigned to you. segregated storage, your metal isn't mixed with others, and regular third-party auditing by a reputable firm. Anything less, and you're taking an enormous risk. The fourth place to avoid is pawn shops. Now, I know some of you might be thinking this is an obvious one, but you'd be surprised how many people still buy silver from these establishments. The problem isn't just potential counterfeits. It's also the fact that most pawn shops don't have proper testing equipment or expertise. I visited 12 different pawn shops across 3 states last year as part of my research. I brought with me a mix of genuine silver coins and very high-quality counterfeits. Out of the 12 shops, only one correctly identified all the fakes. The rest missed at least some of the counterfeits, and 3 shops couldn't tell the difference between any of them. Even more concerning, when I asked these shops where they sourced their silver, most admitted they didn't have rigorous testing protocols for items they purchased. This means pawn shops have become a primary entry point for counterfeit silver into the legitimate market. Once a fake coin or bar has been validated by a pawn shop purchase, it gains a veneer of legitimacy that makes it easier to sell elsewhere. The fifth place you need to stop buying silver from immediately is any dealer who doesn't have a clear return policy and authenticity guarantee. This might seem basic, but you'd be shocked how many dealers, particularly smaller online operations, have vague or non-existent policies. A legitimate dealer should offer at least a 7-day return period and a lifetime authenticity guarantee. This means if at any point in the future your silver is determined to be counterfeit by a recognized authority, they'll replace it or refund your purchase. If a dealer isn't willing to stand behind their products in this way, it's a massive red flag. I spoke with Michael, a retired engineer from Florida, who purchased 51-ounce silver bars from an online dealer with no return policy. When the bars arrived, something didn't look quite right about the stamping. His local coin shop confirmed his suspicions. The bars were counterfeit. But when he contacted the online dealer, they'd already shut down their website and disappeared with his money. The sixth place to avoid is any dealer offering silver at suspiciously low premiums. In today's market, there are certain unavoidable costs associated with silver: refining, minting, distribution, and dealer margins. If someone is offering silver eagles at $1 over spot when every other dealer is at 8 to 10, that's not a good deal. It's almost certainly a scam. Legitimate dealers have relatively similar premium structures because they're all dealing with the same supply chain costs. Dramatic outliers, particularly on the low side, should immediately raise red flags. Remember, in precious metals, if it seems too good to be true, it absolutely is. And that brings me to an important point about protecting your retirement savings. With all these risks in the silver market, many people with substantial retirement accounts are wondering how to safely add precious metals to their portfolios. Quick aside, if you're sitting on $100,000 or more in retirement accounts, I put together a free guide on how gold IRAs work. It's in the description. Covers how to get physical gold and silver into your retirement account without tax penalties. Worth checking out if that's relevant to your situation. Anyway, back to our list of places to avoid. Number 7 is any dealer who doesn't have a significant history in the business. The precious metals industry sees a surge of new dealers whenever prices start rising or economic uncertainty increases. Many of these are opportunistic operations, with little experience or commitment to the industry. I recommend only working with dealers who have been in business for at least 10 years. This doesn't guarantee legitimacy, but it does significantly reduce your risk. Established dealers have reputations to protect and are far less likely to engage in fraudulent practices. Consider what happened during the 2011 silver boom. Hundreds of new dealers appeared overnight, many selling counterfeit or non-existent products. When prices corrected in 2013, over 70% of these operations disappeared, along with their customers' money. History is repeating itself right now, with a new wave of inexperienced or fraudulent dealers entering the market. The 8th place to immediately stop buying silver from is any dealer who pressures you with high-pressure sales tactics or limited-time offers. Legitimate precious metals dealers understand they're in a trust-based business. They provide information, answer questions, and allow you to make decisions on your own timeline. If you're getting calls with "today only" offers, or being told prices are about to skyrocket, buy now, you're dealing with a sales operation, not a reputable dealer. These tactics are designed to short-circuit your critical thinking and push you into making impulsive decisions. I recently received a call from a client who was being pressured by a dealer to act now on a special allocation of silver coins. The salesperson claimed they had a limited quantity of silver eagles from a private collection that were available at just $15 over spot price. When my client hesitated, the salesperson became increasingly aggressive, suggesting he'd miss out on massive gains if he didn't purchase immediately. This is classic high-pressure sales, and it's a tactic used by unscrupulous dealers to move overpriced product. In this case, the special allocation was standard bullion coins being sold at nearly twice their market value. The ninth place to avoid is any dealer who doesn't provide proper documentation with your purchase. Every silver transaction should come with an itemized receipt showing exactly what you purchased, the price paid per ounce, premiums, and any other fees. For numismatic or semi-numismatic coins, you should also receive certificates of authenticity and grading information if applicable. Without this documentation, you'll have difficulty proving what you purchased if there's ever a dispute. It also makes it harder to sell your silver in the future, as subsequent buyers will want to see this provenance, particularly for higher value items. I've seen countless cases where people purchased what they believed were rare or limited edition silver coins, only to discover years later that they had no documentation to support these claims. Without proper paperwork, these coins had to be sold as generic bullion, often at significant losses. The 10th and final place you need to stop buying silver from immediately is any dealer who doesn't have proper security measures for online transactions. This includes secure websites, HTTPS, encrypted payment processing, and clear privacy policies. In the last 2 years, there's been a surge in fake dealer websites that mimic legitimate companies. These sites often have slightly modified URLs, like using silvereagletrusted.com instead of silvereagletrust.com, and look nearly identical to the real thing. They'll take your payment information, send you confirmation emails, and then either ship counterfeit products or nothing at all. Before making any online purchase, verify the dealer's web address carefully, check that they have secure payment processing, and look for reviews on independent platforms like Trustpilot or the Better Business Bureau. A legitimate dealer will also have a physical address and phone number you can verify. Let me tell you about what happened to James from Texas. He thought he was buying from a well-known national dealer, but he had actually clicked on a Google ad that took him to a sophisticated clone site. He placed an order for 25 ounces of silver, received confirmation emails, and even tracking information. The package that arrived contained worthless metal washers instead of silver coins. By the time he realized what had happened, his credit card had been charged, and the fake website had disappeared. Now, let's talk about where you should be buying silver. First, established national dealers with long histories in the business. Companies that have been operating for decades have the experience and reputation to ensure you're getting authentic products at fair prices. Second, local coin shops with strong community ties and positive reviews. Building a relationship with a local dealer can provide you with a trusted source for both buying and selling precious metals. Just make sure they have proper testing equipment and authentication procedures. Third, major bullion banks and government mints that sell directly to the public. Some government mints, like the Royal Canadian Mint, offer direct purchasing programs. These are about as safe as you can get, though they often have higher premiums and minimum purchase requirements. The silver market is entering a critical phase. The divergence between paper prices and physical availability is creating the perfect environment for scammers and counterfeiters. Central banks around the world are accumulating precious metals at the fastest pace since the 1970s. Russia and China have increased their gold reserves by over 800 tons in just the last 24 months. They know what's coming. The COMEX registered silver inventories have fallen to critical levels, down nearly 70% since 2021. Meanwhile, industrial demand for silver is exploding with the green energy transition. Solar panels alone are expected to consume over 140 million ounces of silver this year. That's more than 15% of global mine supply. In this environment, protecting yourself from fraudulent dealers isn't just about avoiding a bad deal. It's about ensuring your financial insurance policy is actually real when you need it most. The economic signals we're seeing today are unprecedented. The Federal Reserve's balance sheet has expanded by over $4 trillion in just 3 years. The national debt has surpassed $34 trillion. And inflation, despite official numbers, continues to erode purchasing power at an alarming rate. Silver has protected wealth through every major financial crisis in history. But that protection only works if you're holding genuine physical metal acquired from legitimate sources. The places I've outlined today: online marketplaces, high premium, special products, unverified storage programs, pawn shops, dealers without return policies, suspiciously low premiums, new dealers, high-pressure sales operations, sellers without proper documentation, and insecure websites. These are all places where that protection breaks down. The decision you make about where to buy your silver could be the difference between financial security and devastating loss in the years ahead. The warning signs are flashing red. The smart money is already moving. The question is, will you be holding real silver when you need it most, or worthless counterfeits and empty promises? The time to secure your position is now, but where you secure it from matters more than ever before. Choose wisely, verify thoroughly, and remember that in the world of precious metals, trust must be earned, not freely given.